Okay, picture this. You've just survived a long, brutal legal battle. You won. You're exhausted, sure, but you're relieved. It's finally over. But what if it wasn't? What if winning the case was actually just the beginning of a brand new, even more expensive nightmare? Well, for one woman, that's exactly what happened.
$1 million. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. That's roughly the bill one person was ordered to pay for their opponent's lawyers. Yeah, you heard that right. Not for damages, not for the inheritance they were fighting over, but just for the cost of the fight itself.
And this really gets to the heart of our mystery today. How on earth can you win a lawsuit but still get hit with a bill so massive it could literally wipe out everything you just fought for? The answer, as you'll see, is a heck of a cautionary tale, and it shines a light on a hidden trap in the justice system.
So, let me introduce you to Lynne Walters. After her partner passed away, she won a huge claim for financial provision from his estate. Sounds like a clear victory, doesn't it? Well, that win plunged her straight into a second war, a brutal fight over legal fees that made the original dispute look like a walk in the park. Now, to understand how this all went down, you need to know about one very powerful legal weapon: indemnity costs. Think of it like this. Normally, when a court decides who pays for lawyers, there's a set menu of what things cost. But an indemnity order, that's the court throwing the menu out the window and saying, you know what, you acted so unreasonably. You're not just paying for the meal, you're paying for the whole kitchen. It's a huge financial penalty, and it's the absolute key to this whole million-dollar mystery.
So how did a deeply personal dispute over an inheritance spiral into $1 million argument over receipts and invoices? Well, to really get the cost, you first have to understand the conflict. This wasn't one simple fight. It was a war fought on 3 different fronts.
On one side, you have Lynne Walters. She just lost her partner, and now she's fighting to keep her home, to keep her life together. And on the other side, you have Perton, the daughter of the deceased. She's the executor of the will, and she's trying to protect what she sees as her father's legacy. You've got 2 people, both driven by these really deep personal motivations, and they're now locked in a conflict that's about to spiral completely out of control.
And here's where it gets messy. This wasn't some clean knockout. In the first fight, the one to keep her home, Lynne actually lost. But then in the second fight, for a bigger piece of the will, she won. And she won big. And then in the third battle, a really complex claim over other assets, she mostly lost. So you've got a win here, a loss there. It was a real mixed scorecard, which left one massive question just hanging in the air.
And that was the problem, right? The usual rule in court is pretty simple. The loser pays. But when both sides have landed some major punches, but have also taken some heavy hits, who's the real loser here? That confusion, that gray area, is what created what the court files literally call a costs nightmare. And it sparked that second, even more bitter war, the war over the money itself.
So the first war, the one over the inheritance, that was done. But really, that was just the warm-up act. Now it was time for the main event. The battle over the legal bills themselves. This wasn't a fight with witnesses and evidence anymore. Oh no, this was a duel fought with invoices, expert reports, and spreadsheets.
Lynne's legal team came out swinging. Their argument was, look, we won the main event, the most important fight. Jane's conduct was totally unreasonable, so she should have to pay for everything, and on that special, punishing indemnity basis. But Jane's team fired right back. Not so fast. Lynne lost most of her other claims, her lawyers charged way more than the court allows, and frankly, this bill is full of holes.
Jane's legal team launched this really detailed 3-pronged attack. First, they said the fees for the senior lawyer were way above the official court rate. Second, they accused Lynne's team of sneakily shifting costs from the cases she'd lost onto the bill for the one she won. And third, they went after all the little things. Photocopying, printing, arguing, come on, that's just business overhead, not a billable legal cost.
With the 2 sides just completely dug in, the judge, Justice Forbes, had to take on a totally new role. She had to put down her gavel and basically pick up a calculator. She had to become a forensic auditor, painstakingly going line by line through this mountain of bills to try and find a fair path forward.
And then came the moment that changed everything. On the single biggest line item, that senior counsel's massive fees, Justice Forbes delivered a total knockout blow. She declared that the fees, even though they were above the official scale, would be allowed as charged. And just like that, the entire momentum of the case shifted. This was a huge win for Lynne.
I mean, this single decision was a game changer. Remember that indemnity costs trump card we talked about? Well, this is where Lynne played it. That special order gave the judge the power to approve fees based on what was reasonable for the case, not just what was on the court's official price list. This one ruling single-handedly validated hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees.
But the judge was not happy about any of this. You can feel the sheer frustration just dripping from this quote in her judgment. She basically called both sides out for their stubborn inability to find any common ground, for dragging every little disagreement back into court, and in doing so, just racking up more and more costs for everyone involved. And so after all that painstaking review, Justice Forbes finally came back with her verdict. The additional outstanding amount that Jane Perton was ordered to pay Lynne Walters for legal costs was $668,926.
But get this, that wasn't even the whole story. This massive number was on top of a previous costs order for $290,000. So when you add it all up, the total cost Jane was ordered to pay towards her opponent's legal team was just shy of $1 million. And there you have it, the $1 million bill, a truly staggering sum that proves just how unbelievably expensive a victory can be.
So, after all that, what on earth can we learn from this epic and incredibly costly legal war? Because this isn't just some wild story about a massive bill. It's a cautionary tale, and it's packed with hard-won lessons for anyone who might find themselves in any kind of dispute, big or small.
Okay, here's your playbook. Rule number 1, and it's the big one. A legal victory does not guarantee a financial one. The fight over costs can be its own separate war. Rule 2, you have to be cost-conscious from the very first day. 3, get every single cost agreement in writing. No handshake deals. 4, how you act matters. Unreasonable, stubborn behavior can lead to these punishing financial penalties. And rule number 5, maybe the most important of all, know when to compromise. Sometimes the smartest victory is knowing when to stop fighting.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. This whole case forces us to ask a really difficult question, and it applies to way more than just the courtroom. In any conflict, big or small, personal or professional, at what point does the fight stop being about justice and what's right and start being all about the bill?